Okay, guys. So we're going to start talking about Alibaba and Alibaba Cloud's intelligent retail. So I think everybody knows Alibaba, right?
Yes.
Okay. So Alibaba is currently the largest retailer in the world, e-commerce provider in the world, and we've long we started to get really good at doing e-commerce, and one of the reasons why we were able to do so was that gradually we were able to understand our customers more and more. Right? I think when you talk about how to really get revenue from your customer base and continue to do so, and expand that customer base day after day, really one of the key elements is to learn about your customer, and that comes from data. So I think it's really not an understatement to say that Alibaba is a data company. Alibaba Cloud is the cloud provider that powers all that data. So we also know from our experience that you cannot totally replace brick and mortar stores. And even though our DNA is from e-commerce, we understand that there are a lot of products. When people want to buy a product, they want to go touch and feel them. They want to see what they look like. They want to try them on, right? These are the things that you can't achieve, or it's hard to achieve with e-commerce. So really, essentially, what Alibaba has done in our intelligent retail is that we're bringing online, which is e-commerce, and offline, which is the brick and mortar, together. Okay, and think about this for a second. If your goal is to maximize revenue, and if in order to maximize revenue, you need to understand your customers better. Okay, and think about today. Are you guys from the United States or Europe or Mexico? Okay, so today you walk into a grocery store in Mexico City. Okay, and you pick up, I don't know, you pick up some toilet paper, and you pick up some milk. You pay with cash. I, the grocery store owner, know nothing about you. And that's historically where retail falls down, is that you don't get data from your customers. So that's number one. Number two is, historically, retailers, especially large retailers, you need to have a lot of space for inventory, right? So whether it's a mom and pop grocery store, you need to store a lot of products. Or if you're a Walmart, you're a Costco, and those are very good retailers, right? And I have nothing bad to say about them, but they require a lot of space. So it's not a coincidence that you see every week we hear about somebody not doing so hot in the retail space, because it costs a lot of money to maintain a storefront, and because a lot of times when a customer comes in and completes a transaction, you get no data from the customer. Okay, so what have we done? Alibaba has really pioneered this intelligent retail concept in two things. One is, we're going to make sure that in addition to e-commerce, from which you get all the data from the customer, down to how long you stay on a web page and what you're clicking on, or where your mouse is over when you're on a web page, we get a lot of information from the customer on what they're looking for. But at the same time, we want to make sure that when you walk into a store, because we understand that not everything can be done online, we can get that same data points from you. Okay? So that's number one. We want to make sure that the retail store becomes a data source. Number two, we want to make sure that you have the most efficient use of the storefront. And what do I mean by that? If you only are using your store as a demo ground, right? If you know your customers so well that you know what they're looking for, then you can effectively reduce your store footprint, because you don't need to store inventory. You can just use your limited store space. Say, we know that you're coming here to look for new retail, so we have new retail on display. We don't have every one of our products on display here, so we're maximizing our space, right? So in that case, you're able to save the money on the footprint. You're able to collect information from the customer. So you're increasing your customer engagement from a storefront, and you're reducing cost. And that's really kind of the principles behind the intelligent retail. So how are we doing that? How do you collect information from your customer as if they were online? So if you understand the goal is to collect more data, you need to have a way to interact with the customer on an ongoing basis, right? So what we've done in the retail stores that we're in is that we are using your mobile phone as your primary point of interaction. And then we provide a lot of capabilities on a mobile phone so that you'll keep on wanting to come back. So say right now we go to Safeway is a grocery store here, right? They have a membership card. I use my mom's membership card all the time to get discounts. They don't know I buy it, right? So it's not a very personal touch. Mobile phone is very personal. So if you want to use something that's as identifiable as a mobile phone, how do you keep them from coming back to use it? How do you make sure that people can continue to use the mobile phone so you can track what they like, what they look at, and how they want to interact with it, right? So for example, one of the things that we provide is image search capability. For a retailer, and we currently do this with a large Australian retailer today. If you have enough inventory images in your database, you can take a picture of your jacket here, and then it'll show up on the retail site on where to buy it. Right? So this is a capability. Alibaba also has Alipay, which is the largest digital payment system globally. And what we do with Alipay is that you can essentially use your phone to pay for the products that you want, right? And so there are a lot of different things that we build into our mobile phone, that allow you to continue to interact with the app when you're in the store and when you're out of the store. So when you're out of the store, you can do e-commerce online shopping. When you're in the store, we can enable you to actually order the items very easily as you see them because there's no inventory in the store, right? So essentially, when you walk into the store, when you're checking out, you're completing an e-commerce transaction, but it's very easy and very seamless. So what does that do? So that accomplishes a few things. One is, you know your customer much better as they walk in and out of your store. You know what aisle they walk through. You know what item they put in their virtual shopping cart. You know what items they end up buying. You know where they live. You know a lot of things about them, right? So these are the data points that you can leverage to continue to optimize the layout of your store, right? So that's one thing, you learn about your customers better. Number two, because you're not completing physical transactions in a store, you can start to centralize your logistics and inventory. And that's a huge money saver, right? When you have a lot of inventory in a store, you gotta always balance, how much of which item you gotta stock, right? So to the extent that you can centralize inventory, to the extent that you can centralize logistics, is really going to help you optimize your operations. So that's number two. Number three, because this is essentially now an e-commerce transaction, we now know how you buy in a retail store. We now know how you buy in an online store, and we know it's you. It's not you using your mom's loyalty card like I do, right? So now you really, really have a good understanding of your customer base, what they're like, what their demographics are, where they live, a lot of information about your customer than you did before. And this is one of the things that Alibaba does, in my opinion, better than anyone in the world. We really, really understand our customers. And I'm sorry? So that's a great question, and that was my segue. I appreciate that. So yes, we leverage, we have a certified configuration for SAP Hybris, right? So what happens is that you can deploy Hybris on our cloud, and we can also help you conduct e-commerce that way, right? So this is true online, offline. Online, you can have SAP Hybris. Offline, we can help you implement the different hardware in the store. So cameras, sensors, obviously all the digital checkout kiosks, right? These are all the things that can help you collect more information about your customer. And at the end of the day, like I said early at the beginning of this presentation, what are you trying to learn about your customer, and what data do you need in order for you to learn about those customers? The name of the game today is understanding your customers, and that's how you continue to engage with them. That's how you continue to get revenue from them, and that's really the essence of retail. So we were already the best with e-commerce. Now we're adding the offline component and giving the same effect, and that essentially is Alibaba Cloud's intelligent retail.